Welcome back to another episode of Ready, Set, Bake. My name is Raeya, I'm your host, and this season is all about accelerating our skills in the kitchen by learning from some of the best in the industry. I'm here at Beaucoup Bakery's very new location that's about to open soon in Vancouver, British Columbia, and we're gonna meet Betty Hung, the co-owner. And she's gonna share with us her experience writing French Pastry 101, her cookbook, and how she opened up her second location. I'm so excited. Betty, thank you so much for having me over. This space looks so beautiful, and I'm so excited to be here and to talk with you.
Yeah, thank you for having me on your filming project, and I'm really happy to be a part of it.
I'm so happy you're a part of it too. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Betty, and I'm a co-owner and chef of Beaucoup Bakery. This is our downtown location that we're looking to open soon, and we currently have a cafe on West 6th and Fur. And yeah, I'm pretty excited to talk to you about pastries.
Yeah, me too. So when did you start baking?
I started baking when I was in high school, more, excited to part. Yeah, it was more on the side. It was like a hobby, and that continued till when I was in university. And after that, I actually did a food blog. And yeah, when food blog was like just emerging. Now it's like more videos and things, but back then it was like blogging. And I would bake on the side and sell at various markets because I wanted to bake so much, but then there's only so much you can feed your family and friends. So I did that for a while. And yeah, I was also did design for a little bit. So yeah, that's how I started baking a lot.
Wow, yeah, that's great. So what was it like you said, you were in graphic design. So what was it like, I guess, going from that to, I guess, running a bakery? Was it a gradual process of, I guess, transforming into that, or did you just take the leap?
Yeah, so I was finishing up like one of the design jobs that I had, and I just wanted to see what professional baking was about. And at that time, I didn't have any professional experience or education because I'm mostly a self-taught baker. And so I just decided to apply to various bakeries in the city, and one of them that I really was excited to apply for was Beaucoup Bakery, because at the time they were doing a very French menu. We still do a very traditional French menu, which was quite rare at the time because it's about 10 years ago. And yeah, I was very excited to just go in there and just like try everything. But I mostly it was more like a gradual experience just because before I was more like an intern. So I was just go in the kitchen kind of like whenever I had time to just like, and then they were so nice to have me, like assuming that I wasn't in their way. They were so nice to have me, so I would just kind of learn from there.
That's great. So you learned from the other pastry chefs there?
Yes, I learned a lot from back then there was a team in we're a cafe right now, and then I would start at 3 when I first started baking. So 3 a.m. morning baker. And I did that for a little while, but I did night baker actually for a long time. So I would start at a 5 or 6 and then work all the way through to like 12 or 1. And yeah, I learned a lot there. And back then, it's just, there's so many shifts because the kitchen was so small, the kitchen space that we were working out of. So I would just do a lot of croissants, lamination, putting together pastries, not so much bake-off. That's not what will happen in the morning. And yeah, that's how I worked my way up.
Wow, that's great. So you have a book, French Pastry 101, and you developed every recipe in here,
Yes,
is that right?
That's correct. Yeah, there's this book, I was approached by my publisher in 2017. And yeah, that took the course of a few months to put together. They came across my food blog. Yeah, and then they were interested to have me publish a book. And I guess they did a little bit of research, and then they know that I have a bakery in Vancouver. The publishers are actually in the States. So, so they know that I have a bakery and I have a food blog and I have all these amazing recipes that I had to offer. So yeah, they approached me, and the idea was to bring French pastry techniques to like beginners.
Yeah, I know definitely French pastries, especially things like croissants, madeleines, all of that is all very intimidating, especially to a beginner baker. So it's great that you're breaking it down.
Yes, so there's like several chapters, and then all these recipes I developed at home, so they were not done in a commercial kitchen setting, just so that I can make sure that for the beginner, it can be approachable and not intimidating to start.
So how long did it take you to put together all of the recipes that you wanted to include in this and share to the whole world, basically?
I think it took like maybe 6-7 months to develop the whole book. It's actually quite intense process, because I never written a book before, and I like blogging, and writing a book is completely different. It's it requires more rigorous instructions or testing and going back and forth with your editor. But I also really quite enjoyed it because there are all these things that I would like to share. So I got to do that, and I got to do the photography for it as well, which I quite enjoy. The only thing was that it was a lot of work. I think as most food cookbook writers will tell you, it's a lot of work. So this is my baby.
Yeah, no, I can imagine. And I looked through all of the photos in here, and they are amazing. Like, everything looks delicious, because I know when you're looking at it from a third party or a third point of view, like, you don't get to taste the recipes in here unless you make it yourself. You're really eating with your eyes, yeah.
Yeah, I'm very happy with how it turned out. And the publishers were quite supportive of what I wanted to put in the book, so it was really great working with them.
That's great, yeah. So did you teach yourself a lot of the photography in there, and did you teach yourself along the way of how to make these recipes and how to develop them?
Yeah, so back then, again, before even food blog, the only way to learn them was to take maybe one-on-one or class on baking, kind of hands-on experience. I think that's still kind of the best way to go about learning how to bake. But the second best would be, the next best thing would probably be a cookbook. And back then, I would just follow a lot of cookbooks and then try the recipes. But a lot of the recipes wouldn't be as good as it seems, so you kind of have to see how to execute them. It's unlike today, like the information with like videos and everything.
You know, there's so many resources.
Yeah, so much more resources. So I learned like by kind of the harder way, I guess. You either take lessons or try, you know, recipes one by one yourself and see like where you can tweak things, like what works and what doesn't. Yeah.
I know there's so many resources online, like you mentioned, videos and lessons and all of that, but I know cookbooks will definitely just remain a classic. I mean, like there are recipes that will last, whatever, decades, all of that. What is one recipe in here that you would recommend any beginner baker to make when they first open this book?
I would recommend maybe either the palmier or like the little chouquette. So in Paris, they have these pastries that they call chouquette, and they would have it at every bakery. It's essentially just a puff, but without filling. It's like a small puff, and they would sprinkle a lot of pearl sugar on it, and it tastes really good when it's fresh. It's kind of like almost like a baked custard when it's fresh. So, you know, it's like something that's simple, and then you can make it at home and eat it right away. I think that's, if you have like the successful result of trying these simple things, then you can easily tackle things harder that are like maybe tarts or like other puff pastry based items, things like that I go through in the book.
So from what I understand, you went to France for a while to study pastry, is that correct?
Yeah, so I did a few courses here and there, and to learn from the real masters, you can say, because it's just when you go to Paris, everything is just so quality, and the standard is so high. Just from eating from different patisseries, you would learn a lot of different styles and different variations of everything. It's something that you cannot really do in North America because their culture is just, the history is just so rich over there, and they just respect this kind of culture so much. So yeah, I went there to learn a little bit about the techniques and different things. But every time I go, I feel like I'm just a beginner. There's always something new to learn, and I don't know what I'm doing. Every time I see like the French masters at work, so.
So would you say that your time in France influenced how you wrote this book and put it together?
Yeah, definitely. Like I said before, like even though I kind of been doing this for a little while, every time I go, I learn something new. And something just as simple as how to fold your whipped cream into a mousse. Just learning from like how they do it, it's kind of eye-opening. It's not very complicated. Doesn't necessarily have to do with very complicated techniques, but definitely something even like those tips, like small tips that were included in here. That some of them I actually learned from various pastry chefs, or the time that I in France, where they showed me this amazing thing, and I was just like, be in the book. I gotta show people how to do this.
So this book is really highlighting all of your experience and everything that you not only taught yourself, but things that you've learned from other professionals in the industry.
Yeah, there is different chapters. I break it down, and then there's a little introduction to the recipe. Sometimes I would include a little bit of my experience in there. So it's kind of an interesting little blurb to read.
Yeah, that's great. So let's talk more about Beaucoup Bakery. So you mentioned that you started there as an intern.
Yes.
How did you work your way up to becoming an owner?
So I just started my time as an intern, and I would just go in whenever I had time, like I mentioned. And eventually they wanted to have me on permanently as a baker. And of course, I had to take the opportunity because that's what I was really passionate about. So I started as, kind of like an entry-level baker, And over the course of 5 years, I worked from night baker to more like the afternoon baker, and then the kitchen manager. And eventually, my previous boss wanted to sell her business, and she was wanting me to inherit it. So my brother and I thought it was a really good opportunity. So we decided to buy it when she was ready to move on.
That's great, and you've done so well with it. And congratulations on opening a second location.
Thank you.
Or almost opening a second.
Almost, yeah.
Almost there. So Beaucoup Bakery is French inspired. So do you have any recipes from here that you sell at Beaucoup Bakery?
Yes, actually, there is a double-baked almond croissant and a Bostock that I actually sell at the Beaucoup. The almond croissant is a very quintessential item in French patisseries. It's actually a really ingenious way of turning day-old croissants into something even better, more decadent. So if I include it in there, it's actually really easy to make because because it's a beginner's book, so I haven't included the butter croissant recipe. Is too complicated to make. So you can just get any good recipe, or good croissant that you can buy from a bakery and just get started there.
Yeah, but I'm excited to see the process of how you make your croissants soon at the commissary. I think that will be really cool to see.
Yeah, I would love to demo it for you guys. It's really quite interesting process.
We've arrived at Beaucoup Bakery's commissary kitchen, which is in Richmond, British Columbia, and we're gonna head inside and get a little sneak peek, and Betty's gonna show us how she makes her delicious croissants.
Hi, welcome to our commissary kitchen. And this is our chocolate room. This is our chocolate tempering machine. It does all the melting and tempering for us. It makes our life really easy. And now we come to our dry storage. This is where we have all our chocolates, booze, spices, etc. This is our cooler, has all our fresh ingredients. And behind you there are our ovens. We are baking some fresh croissants, and they'll go to the cafe later in the day. And these are our mixers. This is our dough mixer. We're gonna do some croissant dough in here. And behind you, the small one, it's our small mixer which we do cookie doughs and fillings, etc. And this is our sheeter where we'll make all our croissants and laminated works and puff pastries and things like that. We use all of our equipment every single day. It's very important for our production. So here we're gonna demo a croissant dough. I'm gonna start laminating. This is our butter. This is our dough that we've rested overnight. I'm gonna get started on this machine here. Now we're gonna put the butter inside. Yeah, so lamination is basically a process of just folding the butter into the dough, like what I'm doing right now. So then when the butter bakes in the oven, it will create steam and have this puffing effect. So that's how our croissants get the signature texture, and the puff pastry gets its individual layers. So right now I have folded 2 double folds in our croissant dough. You can kind of see that's got 2 double folds inside. Right now, because we work the gluten so much, we need to let it rest for a little bit before we can trim it into croissants and further processes. Now that the dough has a time to rest for a little bit and chill in the freezer, we're going to roll it out into our croissant. So this is a good thickness for a croissant. We're gonna trim off the excess. I never use the top or bottom trimmings. We'll save it for other products. And we measure everything quite precisely into specific measurements. Every bakery has like different measurements, and so they can create their signature style. And this is called a bicyclette. It's just to help us measure everything consistently. So I'm gonna start trimming here. I'm gonna turn these into croissants. So they start off as a triangle. I'm gonna roll them up from the wide side up, as you'll see later, and they'll turn into our croissants. And I usually go and check if all the layers are nice and defined at this point before I roll them up. So that's one. And making the croissant is still one of my favorite things to do. It's just very satisfying to see that they turn out nice and consistent at the end. This is a 3-day process. We make the dough day 1, let it rest for a day, and then the 3rd day we do the lamination, or actually the 2nd day we do the lamination, 3rd day we proof and bake off. This would be the 2nd day of our process. And we just repeat until we're done. Now, everything about lamination is about temperature. You don't want the butter to be too cold, otherwise it will crack. It won't give you the nice consistent layers. But if you get the temperature just right, then it will roll with the dough, and it'll get you the really consistent and even layers in between. And that's what our sheeter helps us do. Otherwise, hand lamination would be a completely different story. This is our last one.
So much for joining me for this episode of Ready, Set, Bake, and I'll see you next time.